to another Mercy Health matchup as we preview games in the Skyline Chili Crosstown Showdown. I'm Richard Skinner. He's Tom Gamble. As always, it's presented by
Mercy Health Orthopedics and Sports Medicine and Meyer.
There we go. We got two good ones. We just talked a little bit about Covcath and Connors, one of our other games, but the game we're talking about here is LaSalle and Winton Woods.
Wow.
This is a great matchup if it didn't even have the implication it has, especially for Winton Woods. Winton Woods sits at 5-3. This will be their last regular season game.
Correct.
LaSalle comes in 7-1. Winton Woods is out of the playoff picture as we sit here this week in the Harbins. They must win, and maybe even need some help. Probably just win, but they must win to get in. That seems unfathomable to me. It tells you the type of schedule they play.
Well, you're right. And they played that because, frankly, no one will play them. I mean, they're not playing Week 10 because they don't want to. They couldn't find anybody else to play. When you're not in the league, it makes it very difficult. You're correct. They're in Region 8, Division 2. They sit at number 10, and they have to win at LaSalle to get in the postseason.
Yeah,
crazy.
Their three losses are to Elder by 5 points this past week. They lost to a really good team, Christian Brothers from Missouri, by a score of 42-31. They equate to a Division I team in Ohio.
Yep.
And they lost to the best Division I team in Ohio, arguably, at least one of the top two, in Lakewood St. Edward, 51-31. St. Edward's the only team that's beaten Elder this year. So they have played a great schedule. Maybe they're up to the task here. Now, LaSalle's an interesting team. It looked like they were on a roll, went to Covcath, got rolled by 3 touchdowns. You thought, maybe they're coming back to earth a little bit. How about them, though? Bounced back last week, beat St. Xavier 22-15, and they come into this game kind of on an emotional high. So this is arguably one of the best games of the season, in my opinion, for all that's involved.
Well, it is. And Mayan Williams, who's a very talented running back, he's the Iowa State commit for Winton Woods. He's been a little banged up in the St. Edward and Christian Brothers games. They've got Demir Blankumsey, a talented wide receiver. He's going to Toledo. Winton Woods has to win. But you look at the last 4 weeks for LaSalle. Started with the loss at Covcath, then on the road to St. Xavier, now at home against Winton Woods, and then Week 10, a winner-take-all in the GCL South when they welcome in Elder. You know, Zach Branham, the first-year starter at QB for LaSalle, a junior, he really impressed me last week, doing it on both the ground and through the air. Cam Porter, who's going to Northwestern, he's a talented running back. They got Jake Seibert, the Ohio State commit for kicking, who's a wide receiver. This should be a great football game, and it would be a shame. I like the post. I like the system. I
love the system.
I do,
one thing I wish that you could have is a way to give teams credit for playing a difficult schedule. And I'm not a mathematician, neither are you. I don't pretend to be. But I wish that somehow that was the case, because Winton Woods is more than deserving to be in the playoffs.
I mean, most people pointed to LaSalle, Winton Woods, and said this game will be in the regular season and likely, again, depending on how the pairings would shake down, a game for the regional final. Now you're sitting here saying Winton Woods has to win just to get in.
I guess for Winton Woods, they know this. Their playoffs start this week.
Valid
and that's
point,
where it goes for there. All right, Tom, where can people find out more information on Crosstown Showdown games and more?
CrosstownShowdown.com or on Twitter at XTownShowdown. And coming up next, it's another edition of the Mercy Health Huddle, the source of health information for your student athlete.
Hi again, everybody. We're here with Dr. Michael Chin from Mercy Health Orthopedics and Sports Medicine. And Dr. Chin, I can imagine most people watching at one time or another have probably suffered a sprained ankle. What exactly is a sprained ankle?
Well, a sprained ankle is usually when you stretch the ligaments that help support the ankle. You're right, it's actually one of the most common reasons for missed athletic participation. Usually happens when you turn or roll your ankle.
Okay, now how do I know if it is a sprained ankle, or maybe what are the symptoms, I guess?
Usually it's from pain. You'll have some pain or swelling around your ankle, usually on the front or on the outside of your ankle too. Sometimes you're going to actually have pain where you can't even put weight on that leg.
And what should I do if you have an ankle sprain, or what are some of the treatments?
Usually the first thing you want to do is what we call RICE therapy, where the RICE stands for rest, ice, compression, and elevation. I also often recommend to my patients or athletes to take some anti-inflammatories like Advil or Aleve.
I'm sure time is part of the rehab process, but is there anything else you can do to rehab to come back quicker?
Actually, what we call functional rehab is actually probably one of the most important reasons or best ways to get back to play as soon as possible. And that usually includes 3 different things: getting your motion back, getting your strength back, and finally regaining your balance.
And then once an athlete comes back, how about ankle braces or tape? Obviously a good thing.
That's a really good thing sometimes because it helps stabilize the ankle, which then can help prevent re-injury.
Well, like you said, one of the more common injuries. Great information today, Doc. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
When it hurts to move, what often hurts most is the fact that you can't. Because every rebound is calling your name, and every dance should be danced. It's in moments like these that we step in to help you step back off the sidelines. Because it takes two to tango in this life, and you are meant to be the one. Mercy Health, healthcare for the universe of you. Find an orthopedic doctor at mercy.com/ortho.